One question I often see get asked in the Digimon VPET community is what type of battery should I use in my device? And the obvious answer to that, if you're using a Pendulum Z like you see here, or a Digital Monster version 20th, or the Digital Monster X, any device made after 2003 basically, you want a CR2032 battery, just like this one right here. This is going to power your device, it's going to get it going, but the question then becomes is, which one powers it the best? Which one lasts the longest? And the one I'm holding here is an Energizer. This is a type I've been using for several years now. I get them in bulk, basically, from Amazon. I'm actually subscribed to them, so every few months they send me more of these batteries, and it helps me power all of my lovely devices. So I'd recommend them because they usually last me a while, but what do I have to back that up with if I'm not using the other ones? So I decided that instead of just blindly recommending Energizer, I'd actually look into it and see, all right, which of these CR2032 battery brands is the best? Now, I can tell you which ones are not the best, and those are the ones I didn't test. I didn't test the dollar store batteries that people often get. If you're going to buy very cheap, no-name batteries, you're probably not going to have a good time. Your device might last even a week in some cases, which is very surprising to say, and these devices should not be lasting only 1 week on one battery. They should be lasting much longer than that. So I wanted to look at the batteries that were mostly accessible here in the United States and most easily gotten on Amazon. So if you're outside of the US or you don't like using Amazon or a combination of the two, then this may not be as helpful for you if you can't access some of these, but there still might be some good stuff in here. So definitely keep watching to see which ones came out on top. Now, the next question is, how did I test this? Do I have extensive electronics knowledge? No, I don't. I don't know much about electronics at all. All I know is that if I was to put a different battery in each of these devices, which these are all very similar devices, these are all the same series, right? So ideally, that would also mean that they all operate at the same, whatever, voltage, wattage, I don't know. I don't know electricity, okay? This is just a real life test, not an electrician test. If you want an electrician test, there are some of those on YouTube, but I didn't really like the results I was seeing. They didn't really speak to me of whether or not, okay, so that one lasts longer based on that stress test, but will it last longer in an actual virtual pet? So I had a lot of questions. I wanted a lot of answers. Best way to do that is to just throw a battery in each of these devices, which should operate similarly, see which one drains the fastest, and I definitely got some interesting answers out of that. Now, since this test is not very scientific, there are a few disclaimers, some of which include the fact that these devices may not be 100% identical to each other in terms of power draw, but they should be close enough for the purposes of this test. Another thing is that I could have gotten bad batteries when I put them in, but since most of them were lasting at an amount of time I would expect, I don't think that any of them were bad. You know, if they lasted maybe a week or so, then I'd say, yeah, that's probably a bad battery, but I didn't have any fail after just 1 week. They all lasted for at least a month, which is great, because I would always tell people these batteries will last you between 1 and 3 months. That's my normal go-to. But again, how true is that in this case? I did do a few tests with the multimeter at the end of this just to see if I could see anything neat. I did find one thing that was weird, but I'm not an electrician, so I don't know if it meant anything or not. I don't know what it actually means. So either way, the test itself is just based on real-world usage. How long did it last in each of these devices? So to go over each of those, we'll start with the one that lasted the least, and that was this device right here. This was my Nature Spirits device. We'll shove the rest of these out of the way for right now. Get out of here. This Nature Spirits device right here lasted, actually, yeah, this one only lasted just over a month and a half, basically. So for an idea of how these tests ran, I don't have anything in here, so there's nothing to really show off on the screen, but I'll put it in focus anyway. To share how these tests were done, I raised these just as if I was raising any other virtual pet. So that means that I was feeding them, training them, taking them through battles, getting them evolved up to the final form, starting a new egg, and repeating and repeating and repeating. So I just kept raising new Digimon every time they died. There were times on for example, the weekend when I wouldn't be at my desk as much that I knew I wouldn't be able to take care of 6 devices at once. So I did pause them. And if I was planning on being gone for an extended period of time, like I took a business trip at the beginning of January, I knew I wouldn't be able to take all my virtual pets with me, so they were paused for that time period too. So these times I'm giving you, just keep in mind that you're probably taking off the weekends at least, and maybe 2 more days in the middle of the month for how long I'm telling you here. But either way, then it's frozen, not tabbed, not battery removed, just frozen. So they were still taking at least a little bit of battery draw, and I feel like that's pretty normal for a lot of people too, to freeze them during times when they can't get to them. So pause feature is there for a reason, after all. So the big question is, of course, well, if you were paying attention on Twitter, you already know the answer. In fact, you already know the answer to a lot of these. But this one was this very Duracell cell right here. This was the one that didn't last very long. It only lasted for a month and a half, which is much less time than the other devices. I'll tell you that right now. So, very surprised to see that one go first. Duracell is a very well-respected brand. Everyone always talks about how, well, I don't know. I'm not big in the battery community. Does everyone talk about how good it is? I don't know. I see more commercials for Duracell than a lot of other things, but either way, it was surprising to see a big name brand like that go so quickly. So yeah, that one lasted until the 2nd of February. I started these tests on the 10th of December, so almost made it to 2 months, but not quite. Didn't quite make it there. So that one is out. Now, the weird thing that I did find is that when I tested this with a multimeter, or is it multimeter? I don't know. But either way, again, not an electrician. This one had the highest voltage out of all the dead batteries. This one was at 2.93. None of the other ones were above 2.9. I don't know what that means. If any of you know what that means, cool. I'm glad you know. I don't. But feel free to share in the comments if you know what that means. I do know that these batteries stopped being capable of powering these devices under a certain voltage. It's just that that was the highest one that I saw that it wasn't able to. And I did double check. I put this in a different device just to see if it would die immediately in that device, and it did. So yeah, this thing's dead. It's gone. So Duracell, first one out. After that point, we had two go out at basically the same time. So we had the Wind Guardians device and the Virus Busters device that both were out of the running. The Virus Busters went first on the 14th of February. This one went on the 15th of February. So not even 2 weeks after the last one. So it was somewhat close, but 2 weeks is still a pretty good amount of time. So what batteries were they running? Well, the Wind Guardians was running, it's on this desk, there it is. It was running this Sony battery. And the Virus Busters was running the one that I thought was going to go first because I don't like the Virus Busters device. So I gave it what I thought was the worst battery. The LICB. I don't even know who they are, but they were an easy to get option on Amazon. So I'm like, all right, we'll try LICB and see how that does. And these ones only lasted about just over 2 months. So again, weekends and all that, take that into consideration. But surprised to see the Sony one go that early. But the LICB one, didn't expect that one to last long anyway. So there you go. Not super long time for either of these. And then that brings us to the final three. My personal choice was, of course, put into my favorite device. Put it into this, oh my gosh, why is it fridged? We gotta wake up Marine Chimeramon. Wake up, there he is. So this is not still powered from that same battery. The battery that this was using was, of course, my original pick of Energizer because I thought, well, if it's the one that I like the most, I'm gonna put it in the device I like the most, but it was third place out of all of these. The Energizer one was the next to go. It died on the 2nd of March, and that's still a pretty healthy amount of time. That's pretty close to the 3-month mark. Not quite 3 months, but pretty close. We almost made it there. And yeah, so I was surprised to see that one go. But the thing is that the next device to die actually died the next day. So even though this one did die first, it wasn't by very much because the next one that went out, and this is the first time I'm revealing this. No one else knows this yet. So here we go. Drum roll, please. It was the Nightmare Soldiers device. And what battery did the Nightmare Soldiers device have inside of it? It had none other than Panasonic. So Panasonic outlasted Energizer by just 1 day. And when results are that close together, I do pretty much consider them to be pretty equal in terms of power. Because again, the tests I did weren't super scientific. There'd be some small amount of variance. Maybe I did 1 or 2 more trainings on this one than on this one. But either way, Energizer took third, Panasonic took second, but not by much. And that leaves us with the winner, which I was not expecting and very surprised to see. That was on the Metal Empire device, and if you've been keeping track, then you should already know which battery it was, which is on my desk somewhere. Where? Oh, no, it's not. It's in the device. There you go. It's got the dead battery logo, and it's still not powerful enough to do that. So let's just go ahead and open you up and see. Battery, again, not really much suspense since I told you which 5 it's not, so you should have been able to figure out that yes, it is the Amazon Basics brand. The Amazon brand battery lasted the longest, but not by much. It lasted 3 days longer than the Panasonic. It died on the 6th of March. So that's still, again, very close. I wouldn't say that the Amazon one is outright better with a difference of that. If it was a bigger difference, then I'd say, yeah, if it was at least a week, which is the rule I gave myself at the beginning, that it would have to be a week to take a place, then yeah, I would say that sure, the Amazon one is outright better. But it lasted just 3 days longer, so both the Amazon, the Energizer and the Panasonic all were pretty close together. So if you're using any of the three of those, then you're probably doing pretty good on battery life. Again, close to 3 months, not quite 3 months. So between 1 and 3 months is still a pretty safe bet to say. And if it depends on the device, of course, some devices will last longer. Like my Pendulum 20s, those last for freaking ever on one battery. Very surprising how far they can go. Wonder if that has anything to do with why their saves fail. I don't know. That's a topic for another time. But as far as these batteries go, these are your best bets. Now, it's not just about which one lasts the longest, though. It's about how much you're spending as well. And with these little tiny coin batteries, their prices per battery do vary quite a bit. So let's pull in these other ones here. So we'll see how much value we're actually getting. So the Duracell one, this little guy right here, bought that in a pack of 6. And that 6-pack ran me, I don't have the totals written down, but I have the price per battery. With the 6-pack, I got 1.4, so $1.40, $1.41 for each of these little batteries right here. $1.41, which, okay, you may think that's not very expensive, but that is the most expensive battery out of all of these at $1.41, and it didn't even last me for 2 months. So, well, again, this could just be not the best battery example to use. Maybe another battery in its pack would have done better. I might run it again just to see if that's the case or not, but if there's a chance of it lasting that short, and it's the most expensive battery, probably not the best value for your money. So I won't recommend Duracell. I'm going to get that one out here, not recommending you. Then we have the LICB, which was not the cheapest battery and not the best battery. So it's no reason for this. It was 59 cents a pack, or 59 cents a battery. It came in a 10-pack, but that's again, it died only after a couple, just over a couple months. So I wouldn't say that's your best bet either. Sony was actually cheaper than the LICB and came in at 52 cents a battery. So again, you get what you pay for. You get a cheaper battery, you get a shorter amount of life. Unless you're Duracell, you get a more expensive battery, you get shorter life. So then we have the actual big three here, the ones that I would actually recommend. I would honestly would recommend any of these, but let's say it comes down to cost, right? So Energizer, my original pick, $1.28 per battery. So on the higher end, and it lasted us less than the other two. So this one may not be the best value either. And then we have Panasonic and Amazon, right? So Panasonic is 80 cents a battery and came in a pack of 10 and lasted us a good long time, almost a full 3 months. So I'd say 80 cents is a pretty good value, especially because the Amazon one is a whopping $1.37. So it's the second most expensive battery on here. And it did last the longest, to be fair. But let's look at the actual value. If you're paying $1.37 for an extra 3 days of battery life compared to the Panasonic, I definitely think in this competition, the Panasonic is the clear winner and the one I will likely recommend from now on. So it comes in a pack of 10 on Amazon. It was 80 cents a battery when I bought it, and it lasted for close to 3 months. Not quite 3 months, but close to 3 months with intermittent freezing here and there. So does that mean that you should rush out and buy these? Well, if you trust the ramblings of a strange old man obsessed with Digimon, then sure. But, you know, it could be fun to try some of this test on your own. So if you want to boot up 2 devices and see which one will last the longest, share your results. Just be careful, like I was, to try to raise them as closely together as possible. Like, I even gave everything the same number of care mistakes each time, the same number of trainings, just to keep them very consistent, get the same evolution branches as the other devices. So, you know, if I was going for top care on one, I'd go for top care on the other. If I was going for the Trashmon on one, I'd go for the Trashmon on the other. So try it out. See what you get your results. Maybe one of these batteries over here, you're surprised it didn't win. Maybe it was the one you swore by and you're like, no way, that definitely can last longer. Let me know in the comments if you run any tests like this yourself. And again, if there's any electricians, please let me know your thoughts on all of this. But as far as I can tell, as far as a real-world test and as far as value goes, Panasonic is the clear winner in this competition. So congratulations, Panasonic. Now let's strike up a brand deal, why don't we? They will never watch this video. I know that. Either way, hopefully that was interesting to some of you. Hopefully that answers some questions that many of you had. My original estimate that I usually give of 1 to 3 months did work out in this case. All these batteries did last between 1 and 3 months, every single one. So yeah, that's how long you can expect at least a Pendulum Z to last. Digital Monster version 20th, probably about the same. Digital Monster X is just a Pendulum Z. About the same for that. Pendulum 20 might last longer. And as far as older devices, I'm not testing all of those. So I would say just expect 1 to 3 months. You can get over 2 if you are getting one of the better brands for sure. So again, hopefully this is helpful for some of you to answer that question. And If you have any other questions like this that you think I should look into, any long-form experiments, definitely let me know. And I'm not saying I will do them, but this was kind of fun. I enjoyed looking through this, so I wouldn't mind doing another extensive test like this. After all, that is why the whole Digitama Hatchery Guide exists in the first place, because I like testing random things. So there you go. And if you want to just talk about Digimon in general, make sure to hit up the Discord server. Links in the description as always, and I will talk to all of you next time. Bye!